He has to be that male that all the other males look up to and want to be or admire.
They come out and they're monsters, they're horrible, they're disgusting, and they're perverted. And the women that they're married to wouldn't believe a word you said about them.
Nicole Murphy is finally breaking her silence, and what she's saying about Eddie Murphy and Diddy's private parties is wild. From whispers of a secret relationship with Johnny Gill to shocking things happening behind closed doors, Nicole says she saw it all, and she's done protecting him. Insiders claim Eddie wasn't just showing up at those parties. He was a big part of what went on when no one was watching. Did he live a secret double life? And why is Nicole choosing now to speak out? Before we get into all the details and connect the dots, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this is the kind of tea that doesn't stay quiet for long. Nicole Murphy has never been one to air her personal life in public, especially when it came to her high-profile marriage to Eddie Murphy. But recently, during a casual conversation that quickly went viral, she hinted at some disturbing things she claims to have witnessed during their relationship. And what stood out most? Allegations tied directly to Eddie's behavior at Diddy's infamous private parties. Now, many believe that there is one name that's consistently linked to Eddie Murphy's private life is Johnny Gill. The two have been close for decades, and while both have maintained that their bond is strictly friendship, people close to them have suggested otherwise.
I'm used to certain things, but I do, like I said, I am big on chemistry, vibe. I'm a big believer in being with somebody that you really connect with as far as liking to do the same things. Because I've been with someone who's the opposite of me, and it's like pulling teeth to get them to do stuff.
During Eddie's marriage to Nicole, Johnny was reportedly living on his property, and their relationship became a quiet but persistent topic in Hollywood circles. Johnny's ex-girlfriend even admitted that their relationship ended because of how close he was to Eddie. According to her, it felt like there was no room for anyone else. While this could be dismissed as jealousy, others who were around at the time have said similar things, commenting on the way they moved, traveled, and spent time together in a way that felt more intimate than platonic. Nicole has never publicly addressed Johnny directly, but the way she alludes to certain friendships Eddie prioritized makes it difficult not to draw connections. There were moments where she seemed visibly uncomfortable when asked about their dynamic in past interviews, often deflecting or changing the subject.
Eddie Murphy married Tracy Edmonds. They were married for 2 weeks. I like Tracy because she was a gangster, because she ran the Edmonds records. And there's always been rumors out here about Johnny Gill and Eddie, right? Johnny was always showing up. I think he even lived in the back house on Eddie's property. Eddie and Tracy got married, but she said, don't have that nigga, don't have your boyfriend show up during our honeymoon. That nigga, Johnny Gill, came out there on the honeymoon. She filed for divorce on Eddie Murphy in 2 weeks.
Combined with what she's hinted at more recently, it adds another layer to the complicated story of her marriage. It also connects back to the earlier rumors and controversies that followed Eddie throughout the late 90s and early 2000s. The speculation around Eddie's private life only intensified in 1997 when he was pulled over by police in West Hollywood with a transgender escort in his car. Nicole and their children were reportedly out of town, which made the situation harder for Eddie to explain. He denied any wrongdoing and no charges were filed, but the headlines were brutal, and the questions surrounding his sexuality and behavior gained momentum.
When police say he picked up a transvestite prostitute on an infamous stretch of Santa Monica Boulevard.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Ciuli was cuffed and hauled away. A warrant was already out for his arrest.
And on May 29th, Judge Barry Taylor issued a warrant in the amount of $15,000 for his arrest and revoked his probation. He was brought to court today on that warrant.
What made things even more uncomfortable was that this wasn't just a one-time rumor. After that incident, multiple trans women came forward with stories, One of them even claimed that Eddie was among the many high-profile men who sought out trans escorts regularly, while publicly mocking or distancing himself from the LGBTQ+ community.
What? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy? Right. He's straight. I went, oh, please. Give me one part.
Wait a minute. What do you think he was doing? What do you think the situation was? Let me hear your scenario.
Oh, not only Eddie Murphy,
many others. I know a lot of girls.
That
a lot of girls.
What's the other?
Arsenio.
And it wouldn't be the last time Eddie's name surfaced in these conversations. Another trans woman, Octavia Street Laurent, also spoke about her experiences in Hollywood. As a proud trans woman and vocal figure in the underground ballroom scene, she had been around enough industry circles to see how things really worked behind closed doors. In one of her most pointed interviews, she called out big-name celebrities without flinching, claiming that many of them had secret lives that the public would never believe. Eddie Murphy was one of the names she mentioned directly. She claimed that not only had he been involved with trans women, but that he also carried deep shame around those encounters, often hiding them, then turning around and making jokes about the very people he pursued. Octavia wasn't vague.
They're doing things behind closed doors, like Eddie Murphy, who knows me very well. How well? Very well. And what hurts me about him is, if anyone was after this meeting, and it will be filmed, they asked me, what do you know about Eddie Murphy? I'm not interested in destroying his life. The children, they come out and they're monsters, they're horrible, they're disgusting, and they're perverted. And the women that they're married to wouldn't believe a word you said.
She said these men would leave their families, come into private spaces, and behave one way, only to pretend to be something entirely different once the cameras were back on. Her comments didn't just apply to Eddie. They painted a broader picture of the entertainment industry, a place where image is everything and authenticity often takes a back seat to public relations. Take Whitney Houston, for instance. Eddie's relationship with her was short, but deeply confusing for those close to her. According to Robin Crawford, Eddie actively pursued Whitney, calling her frequently, even on the morning of her wedding to Bobby Brown. But just as quickly as he appeared, he pulled away. Robin claimed he became critical and distant, allegedly mocking Whitney's appearance and undermining her confidence. It felt less like romance and more like control, followed by a cold exit.
I came into the room and Whitney said, "Guess who just called?" And I said, "Who?" She said, "Eddie. He must be out of his mind. Matter of fact, he is out of his mind. He's going to call me on my wedding day and tell me that I'm making a mistake." So the conversation went, only Whitney's in, "Yes, I am getting married. Yes, I am. Yes, I am." And obviously she did.
The same dynamic seemed to repeat with Mel B. Their chemistry was undeniable, and Eddie reportedly went as far as asking her father for her hand in marriage. But the moment she got pregnant, everything changed. He denied the baby was his, publicly, until a DNA test proved otherwise. It was messy, painful, and it all played out under intense media scrutiny. And Nicole would have seen all of it, not just as a bystander, but as the woman standing beside Eddie through the height of his fame, and through some of his biggest scandals. For years, she said very little. Even when rumors swirled and whispers about Eddie's private life made headlines, Nicole stayed composed. No messy interviews, no tell-all books, just silence. But silence doesn't always mean acceptance. Sometimes it's survival.
You alleged, too, that Nicole Murphy had relations with your ex-husband. Were you two friends?
Mm-hmm. I've been to her house. She was at my bachelorette party. But you know what? At that time, my mother told me then. She said, but you got to watch that one there. And she was right.
How did you find that out?
I had checked the manifest of my plane, because we owned a plane. And so when you check that list, it says all the people that have rolled on the plane. And she didn't ride on it with me. So why you would accept an invitation from him and you don't even know him, I don't know how that could happen. At first she said, "No, I haven't been to Turks and Caicos. I have not been." And it was like, well, wait a minute, And then I called again and then she stopped answering the phone. She was dating Michael Strahan, so I called him. And I said, hey, do you know anything about this? And, we talked or whatever. And I said, well, let me send you a tape that I have of proof, And so I did.
Now, years later, it seems like that silence is starting to break. She's not throwing accusations, but the way she frames her past, the comments about earning her last name, about what she put up with, it all suggests there's a lot more she hasn't said outright. And with the resurfacing of old stories and new names coming forward, Nicole's version of events is starting to sound less like bitterness and more like truth. One of the more shocking claims came from an escort who went by the name Flash. He didn't just repeat rumors, he described moments he says he witnessed firsthand. According to him, he saw Eddie and Johnny Gill together, getting intimate at one of those late-night parties. It wasn't vague. He described it in detail, calling it full-on tongue-kissing at the bottom of a staircase in a Hollywood Hills mansion. It wasn't just a story, it was a scene. And with Eddie's name already tied to years of quiet rumors, past scandals, and complicated relationships, this account hit differently. Especially now, when the public is more willing to question the carefully crafted images of stars they once idolized. If what Flash said is true, it's not just about Eddie's personal life anymore. It's about how much of Hollywood has been built on hiding it. So, what do you think? Is Nicole finally peeling back the curtain on what really went down, or is this just the beginning of something even deeper? Don't forget to like the video if you're still watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments.